Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of RailCats Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savedich, and if you hear water running or anything going on behind me, my wife is taking a shower, so she may be making some noise, so if you hear that, I apologize on that portion. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud for you. So, home opening series, the RailCats take 2 out of 3. Great opening day series, or opening home opener. Great day. The weather was beautiful. The atmosphere was great. It was just a great day to be out in the ballpark. Like it was a great day. I got me a new hat. Actually, got me 2 new hats. I was originally going for this hat originally, and then saw this hat, and I was like, I gotta get this hat. I just the color, the scheme, everything is just really cool about it. I was, the one hat that I'm disappointed that I don't have anymore because my dang dogs tore it up was the pinstripe. The hat, I loved that hat. I think it was awesome. It was a great hat. Now, don't get me wrong, the 2 hats I have hanging up are my retired hats. This one is from the first year, and then this is from last year. The issue with that one is it's got a nice old sweat mark on it, so that'll probably be my game, like the game day, like when it's like midday games. And then this one, my dog's got a hold of. So the back band is kind of chewed up, so like I can't normally wear it how I like to wear my hats backwards a little bit. I like to wear them forward here just because you can see the emblem. So I got 2 new hats, which I like the color scheme on this one, the nice bold leathers, the RailCats portion. But this one I by far was the best hat I've seen. There was a couple. I mean, last year they had a good couple ones. But this one by far has been my favorite. It's got everything that you got the Gary in it, the RailCats, and then the RC logo with the baseball. I think it's great. I mean, you could go with the G with the claw, the cat claw as well, but I'm fine with that one. I got 2 new shirts. I got this one, and then I got the other one with the Rusty's face here, and then the ballpark with the beer on the back of it. The outside of maybe potentially not having jerseys, they had a handful of selected jerseys. Outside of that, I really like the merchandise this year. I think they had a plethora of different ones. The best, the the fireworks one, that's a really cool. I was debating between that one or the other T-shirt that I ended up having. I wore that today, and I was out in the sun all day. With my niece had a t-ball game, so I went to that today instead of going to RailCats game, which I don't get paid for this, so obviously family takes priority over that aspect. And then I worked on Saturday, so that's why I didn't see the last 2 games of the series. Really wish yesterday's game I was able to watch. Seemed like a really intense one. Today's game, not so much a big one, that not that big of a one. But a home opener, that was just a great one in general. Just a couple things before we get into the games. I just kind of want to talk about like the opening day experience. Just a couple new things that I kind of noticed. I think the big thing to notice this year is I think the interns are obviously, a lot of them are newer, and the grounds crew is newer. Especially, I would say more of the internship is newer, and it's not a well-oiled machine just quite yet. I've kind of seen a little bit of that aspect of it. It's not fully. They're doing a lot of different things than they did the years past. Through things we're not quite necessarily used to on that portion of it. Especially the broadcasting side. I know the broadcasting side, Ryan Zimmerman had the 30 minutes, 15 minutes prior pregame show. We don't get that with Andrew or Graham, which Graham, I really like Graham. He's definitely going to go places in his career broadcasting. He just has that nice natural voice that you just like to listen to, and him and Andrew together are really great. The broadcast on that side is perfect. And then if you didn't see or read or hear the game on opening day, the reason why the RailCats didn't have the last two games on the American Association on AATV or on the aspect of Mixler. Was Ryan had something I didn't I was listening to it and also talking to my parents at the same time. He had something going on in his throat, so he had to go to the emergency room, that kind of stuff. But luckily that all got figured out in his speedy recovery on that front of it. The one, well, actually two major changes. One was brought to my attention that the walkway that goes over where like they keep the batting cage at, that bridge was gone, so you can't walk around the whole concourse. I don't know if that's just a short-term solution for a long-term problem. The second thing was the sweets area. It is not the deep fried Oreo or the baseball. It's not the deep fried stuff. It's now a creamery, which I have to say is going to be a little deadly for my wallet because I really, really like ice cream. like that is the one thing that I crave the most is ice cream. And they had to go and get freaking ice cream. Like Dippin' Dots, not the same as ice cream. Like that's gonna be that's gonna be rough. So, but realistically, I think that was a great move. It's the middle that was the one thing that I took away from like the past couple years. Like, yeah, granted, the funnel cakes, the deep fried Oreos, the baseballs, that kind of stuff, they're good and fun and but like when it's blazing and like snow cones, they're cool and stuff. But like when it's 80 degrees outside, 85, the sun's blaring at you, like outside of like cold beer and Dippin' Dots, like there's nothing else really to cool you down. Now you have ice cream. Like ice cream is just they have they had a big old ice cream nachos going on. I'm like, there's just too much going on at this point. And not in a bad way, but I was just like, oh wow, this is gonna be a different feel this year. And I really think that's gonna maybe drive a little bit more. The sign's a lot nicer. I mean, it just seems nicer in that section of it. So I'm excited for that portion. I really think that's gonna help drive sales on the portion of the ownership side or whatever the case may be, just that kind of help with having an ice cream place instead of just Dippin' Dots, because I think, you know, like I said, it's hot outside. Like when it gets warm outside, like what are you gonna want? An ice cream or a funnel cake? You know, like it's just one of those. I think it's a good move on that. And like I said, I'm not gonna get into the logistics of one dropped out, the contract is up, and they're just gonna bring someone else. And I just think that's a great idea. Now, if only they had shakes. I didn't really look at the menu really well because I wasn't going to get ice cream on opening day. I just went to use the bathroom, but I was like, I got tempted into the ice cream aspect of it. But like I said, overall opening day, great atmosphere. Going into today's game, the big thing, I don't know if anyone saw, when I came home, I decided to come do a little late night digging because I was interested to see about the home runs, because I looking at it right now, home run wise, the leaders are Marcos Gonzalez, Carlos Rincon, Castillo, Sierra, and Basabi. They all have home run. No one else has them except, you know, those handful there. But at the time, it was 8 home runs in 8 games, and that's the most home run. I think last year was pretty close. I think it was either 5 or 6 in 8 games. But most of the time when you go, at least in the American Association, being them in the American Association, they have not hit more than 4 going into like last year, I believe. Like most of it was 4, and then I think they hit that 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure exactly what years, but I guarantee you in franchise history, someone that has the record book and has all the games, may be able to tell me that better than, but just going through point streak and just trying to count, because it doesn't give you the exact home runs that were hitting. You have to count it, and if you look wrong, you're gonna miss one. It's just a little bit of annoyance on that portion of it. And then that kind of sparks the conversation that I had today with someone on Facebook, was they don't want the league to turn into the MLB portion of it because they still like watching fundamental baseball. And don't get me wrong, I love fundamental baseball. I love the small ball, the chess piece, movements here and there. What's going to lead you, if you have to put a sack bunt down, or if you're just not hitting off of a guy, like those kind of the stealing aspect of it, making those risky plays that could cost you the game or could win you the game. It's just one of the, like, I like that aspect of it instead of, all right, well, home run after, like, home runs are great. Casual fans love home runs. The die-hard baseball fans that really, not, I mean, I shouldn't say, I think everyone loves home runs. I think but there is also I don't know how to, not a nostalgia, but like, there's a special feel to a game where you're hitting doubles and triples. Like, I just, those are like, home runs are exciting, yeah, but what are really exciting is when you drill a ball down the line and you decide to push a single to a double and it's a close play at second, or you're pushing a triple or a double into a triple, you got a close play. Like, those are more exhilarating to me because there's more going on versus a ball that someone just drills and everyone just goes, wow, that went far. All right, go around the bases, next guy up. Like, there's nothing wrong with a beautifully timed home run, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's exciting grand slams, 3-run. I think it's more of the less like the solo shots that have become more of an annoyance to a certain extent than your 2-run home runs or your 3-run home runs. Grand slams are always enticing because it's bases loaded and you clear the bases one simple swoop. I mean, you could put on I think a grand slam versus a bases clearing double are both exciting in their same fashion. Yeah, one leads to one less run, but I still think those are exciting as well because you have so many pieces going. Is that guy from first going to go home? Like, just depending on that aspect of it. So, like I said, this team, what I'm leading into is, it looks like this team is showing consistent power because Marcos Gonzalez had 3 home runs in 3 games. I think 3 home runs in 3 games. That wasn't something I was expecting out of a second baseman. I don't think he's naturally a second baseman. I think he's more of a third baseman. But I really don't think you're going to take Basabe out of third. Human highlight reel at third. I know an opening day towards the later half of the game, he made an unbelievable diving catch and throw over. It was just one of those situations, and I like I said, I really don't think this team is bad defensively. Are we gonna have a couple flaws here and there, but there's nothing really that's out. We have a total of 8 errors already, and Basabe has 3 of them. But like, throwing air, like, I guess throwing air is still part of the defensive aspect of it. I just, when you're playing a hot corner, and I don't think his arm is the best accuracy wise going to first, but we're not seeing a ton of errors that are consistently being made, or I shouldn't say routine errors that lead to runs that aren't necessary. So when I look here is, runs versus earned runs. So the RailCats have given up 43 and earned runs are 38. Now, I think 2 of those were unearned runs based off of the extra inning rules. So realistically, you're at 4. This is to help break this down. If those 2 if you classify them as actual earned runs, which I understand they're not, but in this situation they are, okay, you're at 40 earned runs. So there's only really 3 runs off of errors that have caused you an issue so far. Like, yeah, granted, that can make or break you in that situation, but it's not a detriment to that. It's only 3 runs. Now, in the course of time, that may add itself up, but it's not like a huge drop off between what could cause um, what could be an issue. I'm just kind of looking at today because I haven't pulled up today's. Okay, so like the RailCats committed 3 errors in this game, and uh, 2 of them were by Basabi. So like you have a one-off game that this is where it could potentially hurt you. Only I guess only really one run was unearned, and I'm guessing that was probably an error that was caused by Wasabi. But there's only one necessarily run, but it could lead to more, and they would just be earned. If you're kind of getting what I'm going with this uh, argument to a certain extent, um, you know, it looks like they replaced Geo in today's game. He was only known for obviously there wasn't much hits in today's game. We'll kind of work ourselves back a little bit. Just going the most recent game that can kind of talk about. Peyton Long has started it. He went 3 and 1/3 inning, gave up 10 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Like I said, I wasn't there. I didn't watch the game. I can't justify the actions. This is just something I have to go back when I look at this, statistics. This just looks like what could have happened in game 1 of the year, where the offense just wasn't there and the pitching could have been really bad. Like I think we're just back at this cycle of like we kind of know who the first 2 starters are going to be, and then the rest of it's kind of like we'll just sprinkle in what we think might work here. The one big one that I think Anders Diaz is doing really well. Vitriago, I just don't think he's had enough quite yet. Let's see, before I say something and me be completely okay. I mean, he's played in 4 games and has had 5.1 innings pitched. So he's had his time necessarily to work himself into. The only one we really haven't seen is Ryan Munoz pitch that much, and he gave up 2 runs and one was earned. Olivero, I guess you could probably put him as right now. I understand like the rotation is going to be Sanabria, Chris Irwin, Teed. I guess Peyton Long has had 2 stars, so I think Alvaro is probably gonna go tomorrow. It is gonna be my guess. I could be wrong. Like I said, it's just one of those situations where I don't know. And you could see him moving into the lineup necessarily. You could see potentially. I don't really know who else would kind of fall into that aspect. Just kind of basing it off of ERAs. I mean, the only one that I could potentially think of is maybe a Franklin Perez, because he was once a starter. I know that the first game that he played wasn't the best, but his second game in the home opener, he pitched 2 innings, only gave up 1 hit and 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. That was a better outing, and that was the first time, like, you guys gotta understand, like, this is someone that we should, every time he comes out, it's not to, like, scrutinize him to a certain extent, but we should be really excited to watch him play, just because of how highly he was ranked in Detroit's organization, and going, being traded for Justin Verlander to Houston, and him blowing it. It's like he still has some time to cope, because, like I said, it's been a while since he's actually like probably really pitched. So it's just one of those, him gaining back into the situation. And sitting there talking with my dad and him watching, he goes, he has a very weird delivery. That's like, it's sort of over the top, but it's off to the side, like his body leans, and like you can kind of tell from an angle like what's his fastball and what's his what like a changeup would necessarily be, because his arm changes. And so it's interesting to watch him pitch, because I think there's really good amount of raw talent, for him. I know he's a little, not a younger but older, he's still in that area there. So I'm just interested to see how it's going to work out for Franklin in that aspect of it. When you look at today's game, this just kind of marks, and even really the last 2 games, you can kind of mark it up to somewhere the pitching is going to give a little bit. And yesterday's game, that was just like a fight back game. you give up Tiedemann pitches 3 innings or 5 innings. He gives up 3 hits or three. He pitches 5 innings and he gives up 3 runs. And then Vitriago comes in and he gives up 3 runs on 2 hits and only pitches a 2 and 3rd inning. Like, this is the point to where the pitching, I think the pitching staff is going to have a shorter time frame to see who's producing and who's not producing to a certain extent. As far as like the hitters have them decent time, because you kind of have to wait for Franklin, not Franklin. You have to wait for Delvaya to come back, and then you're going to have to wait for Mariaga to come back. And thinking of those, we do have before yesterday's game, or before the home opener, I should say. Brandon Fields was activated, and I'm sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once here. Will Decker was released. I don't know how. So basically, what I've been told is that Brandon wasn't necessarily injured, but he was put on the inactive list. And was going to be sought to be traded. And so I don't know what happened. There's a lot of things that kind of go intertwined. I'm not going to get into speculations of what could have or what didn't happen. Just what I've been told, that there might have been a potential rule break of some sort that got Will Decker to be released, or whatever the case may be. But Brandon Fields comes in, and like I said, he's a little bit rawer talent. They're both kind of bit of the same, except Brandon's younger, which then today sparked the trade of Anders Noriega to Hagerstown in the Atlanta League for Mike Galino. I'll have to go back and double check. I'm gonna pull up all of his stuff right now, but that's I think in this situation, I think that Anders or Noriega kind of got the short end of the stick to a certain extent. But looking at Mike here, he is a catcher, left fielder, center fielder. He's from Connecticut, 27 years old. He went to Pace University in New York. No major league experience. In 2018, he did play with Cleburne, where he batted at .240, had 23 hits. The last couple of years, he was actually in Winnipeg in 2021, where he only played 6 games, but he had batted a .306. Right now at Hagerstown, what he was batting is a .130. Overall career between college and all independent baseball leagues, partner leagues, however you want to put it, he is batting a .265. This could be one of multiple reasons. It could be that he can play the outfield, so he could get in the lineup more, and he can also catch to give Quintana some more time necessarily to sit if he needs to. I think this may have a change of scenery aspect of it. That could be a high possibility as well. There's it's just one of those, like, I think he's an older, experienced player. I know Quintana is also he's actually younger, born in 2021. So there hasn't been a lot of impressions, not recent or of recent right now. Actually, I should take that back, because he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game hitting streak. He's only had 2 games where he hasn't gotten hit, so he's consistent as far as that. I just don't think the amount of the singles and stuff are nice, but there's only, he has 1 triple and 1 RBI, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Like the production at certain points aren't there. And he scored 5 runs, so like he's overall 6 runs in total. I just think that we were probably expecting more of a power from him, and that could be coming. Like I said, the big thing to take away from this Lake Country series is that you had one game of pure basic dominance of pitching and hitting was okay. Then you had a game that you kind of had to fight back for, and then in the last game, it just wasn't your day. And we're gonna have those. Like, there's nothing to throw your light your torches and your pickaxe or your pitchforks and start banging on the steel yard doors to try to get in. Like, there's nothing to like tear any of that down. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen to everyone. It's gonna happen to the best teams in the league. You're just not gonna have your game and your stuff. And I would rather have those kind of games a little bit early on. Like, they put themselves a week ago. Realistically, they are in a better spot. When we kind of look at the standings here, they're updated now. Granted, they're back down to the bottom of the barrel of the East League, but I think if we look at the West, realistically, if they were in the West, they would be battling for a playoff spot to a certain extent. They would, Sioux City, who's coming in the new series, is 3-6. So like, this is going to, it's one of those. I kind of look at what they played Chicago, the past 3 games, and I think they went 2-3. They won today. They won 5-2. This is they have put themselves, that nice 3-game winning streak has put themselves in a better spot, more attainable spot to kind of better off suit themselves a little bit better. Like, I understand that like Lake Country now is 4-5, Gary's 3-6, but like, they're not right now. Yes, they're the bottom of the barrel to a certain extent, but you feel a little bit better winning those 3 games versus maybe winning 1 or 2 games, or not even winning any games. Like, at this point we could be 0-9, and this could just be a dumpster fire, and we've salvaged a little bit of it. It's not far out there. Realistically speaking, we're 2 games out of a playoff spot at this point. I know it's still early on to look at that. We're only 2.5 games back from Cleveland. It's still a little bit young. I think the momentum is coming. I think it's getting there. It's just today was just a rough one that to take in and going, well, what are you gonna do? Those games are gonna happen, and it did happen. The big thing to take away from Sioux City, when we look at their roster, just making sure that the roster is still up to date, we will see the return of John Cheeks and Daniel Langlois. I can see the last time Cheeks pitched was actually May 18th, so we may not see Sheiks play on that aspect, but he his last 2 starts, right now he has a 6 ERA. He's 0-1. Started 2 games, 12 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 14 hits. It's not going to show me his earned runs. Actually, I think he's at 8 earned runs right now, on that portion of it. Gave up 9 runs. Looking at Langlois, I think he's having a pretty good season so far, I believe. Why did you show him batting? He's batting a 167. I know he had a hawk streak going on for a minute. On that, actually, that's different. He has some pitching records in there, so it's like it's showing up on that. Today's game, he went 2 for 4, but nothing too crazy on the aspect of Langlois on that portion of it. Comparing him and really Sierra, that's what we're kind of the comparison going in to this week. Basically, is who won the trade to a certain extent. Looking at Sierra, he's batting a 138, so like, realistically, he has 4 RBIs though. Like, he's driven in more, and he has 1 home run. it's pick your poison to a certain extent, however you want to put that. Fan favorite, that kind of stuff. However, the numbers, there's no eye popping numbers that's saying, who necessarily won the trade on that aspect of it. Um, so really the big thing going into this week is just winning 2 out of 3. I mean, this is just the point to where you can't afford to get swept. You need to win 2 out of 3 at home. On the road, you need to get 2 or 3s. You lose one, it is what it is. Get a couple sweeps in there, get a win streak going. A 5-game losing streak started out getting a 3-game winning streak that kind of helps balance it to a certain extent. I was hoping to get maybe a full sweep and one more out of Sioux City to kind of 500 it. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. Is how you're going to work with it. I don't where we were last time I had not the live stream podcast, but the podcast before. I think I feel a little bit better to a certain extent on the team. But the averages are a lot better than what they were. There was a lot more ones than there are twos. But looking at averages right now, Marquez Gonzalez is at number 1, batting at 281. Valera at 258. Rincon 258. Bockley at 238. Diaz 237. Basavi 229. Castillo 222. Quintana 194, and Sierra batting a 138. Contreras and Brandon Fields both at 0 on that portion of it. Contreras, it's gonna be rough for him to get in the lineup. I really do. I don't really see him. He may have the power. I just don't see him really getting in anywhere. I mean, just looking at last year, he batted at 241. He had 4 home runs. Like the power numbers could necessarily be there. He just may not be having the opportunities necessarily as he was last year. But it's kind of hard to argue the fact that Basavi playing at third. It's one of those. It's hard to see. We're getting to the point to where you kind of have to look at who's getting the opportunities, who's not, because once those 2 players come back, it's going to be who's producing it. And I had the discussion with someone at the ballpark was, even like a Bockley. I mean, he's batting at 238. He has 4 walks, 5 hits, but like there was a point, it was almost like Gio last year where he was just constantly getting on base. If you're getting on base, you're being productive. So like even if your batting average is a little bit lower, like let's just say like we had this not in the live stream podcast, but the podcast before. The same argument. You may have a 0 batting average, and you went 0 for 1 with 4 walks. Like those are 4 singles in my eyes. I know the OPSs aren't necessarily there. Right now, Gonzalez's bat it has a 918 OPS. Rincon has a 795 OPS. Like those 2 are really, those are high end ones, and then it kind of drops off from there. Basavi at a 696. It's just one of those situations. Even the batting average aspect of it. There's a couple of them in the 3, but like you're not getting what we got out of like Gio last year. He's just he'll figure it out. Like I don't have a doubt. He went through a last year's a little bit different than this year. Last year he was getting on base more, stealing more bases, and this year it's not quite necessarily the same. But I'm not concerned about him on that portion of it. I don't think anyone else necessarily should be as well. But yeah, I think that's it. We're going to a 3-game series against Sioux City. Great opening day weekend, beautiful weather, that kind of stuff. I was glad that I was able to get some of my tickets out to people that want to go to the games. I'll probably do something like that as far as like weekend games or day games that I can't, or week games that I can't go to. I'll probably just put it out on Facebook or Twitter. And if someone needs tickets, there's no sense of me wasting the tickets and maybe helping someone else out, because in the grand scheme of things, you're trying to help out. I'm trying to help out the RailCats at the same time as far as that. So yeah, if Yeah, I think that's mostly it on that portion of it. If you have anyone that's interested in the RailCats and want to keep up on top of them and that kind of stuff, send them my way. We'll try to keep the train rolling on that aspect of it and keep the momentum going on that front, and hopefully the RailCats could do the same thing and get a couple more wins and get this 500, and we could talk about a whole different ball club this year. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and